also known as the heartland of the Métis people. I would like to acknowledge that the water in the museum is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation. Before today's event begins, we will have a blessing ceremony conducted by Elder Barbara Niponak of the Pine Creek First Nation. Barbara.
Could you ask her for the water? Thank you, Miigwech. Welcome to Treaty 1 territory of my ancestors, homeland of the Métis and the Inuit. I'd like to welcome you all, visitors, settlers, Indigenous people, the Noamaganik. I do the water ceremony, and that is an important ceremony that has been handed down to us. Women are life givers. It is our responsibility to acknowledge the spirit of water. I do this regularly to pray for that spirit of water so that all people can have access to clean drinking water. And most importantly, to dedicate this significant day, this day that is very meaningful to the families and to everybody here. This is history in the making. And we should be all proud to be here today, to be able to witness this. I'm going to do my prayer, and in my prayer I acknowledge life, I acknowledge spirit of water, but most importantly, I communicate with the Creator. I pray in my language, is the Ojibwe language. I was always taught to pray in the language you know best, so my first language is Ojibwe. My traditional name is Nijobinesi Kwetu Thunderbird Woman and Bear Clan. My lifelong partner, Clarence, and I work together, and we walk together in this world. And we're always honored. It's always a privilege to do this. And I do this in memory of the family of your late sister. And for all of you, I dedicate this prayer to all human beings. Amigach. Ani jubinesi kwendi uomako dotem. Megani no mase magib machine na mawanch megahi do taman weni be. Kchina and agotanish me ma went to set me ma disiwen. But the she no gemane do she boko senmak shaweni mishnam. Wabande shinam anin kuchish sagitiam. Anin kuchish khanundiam. Am behem ko kitabino chibinani ka kusiot. Kitanani nani ka wanishinwat. Koyuk. Am behem ko ka kusiot miziga jekushinwat ki janishna benanik. Ndeshik pagoseni magi shemane do. Chishawene me gon chi wabande gon fin of matisiwen. Am beke weni bigak chine and dawok. Misie and the shibokosendam. Misie oyechi kuskituchimene kwetni beche bekatnik. Me anish ke hin to aina kami gon wen shnabe koyam. Chagahi ton. Wegni bigak chine and dawok. Me anish ma wen dachiwon. But the shenongum kishamane to the shibokosenema. Shawene mishnam. Wabande shinam in a pematisiwen. Am beke we. Kaina kamigasiot and wek. How me wets nicket nunga gizgo. And to all my relations.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elders Barb and Clarence, for blessing us with your words and prayers today. Before I go any further, I would like to acknowledge Kevin Klein, who is providing the translation of what we are saying today in American Sign Language. So thank you very much for being here today, Kevin. And thank you all for attending. We have several Indigenous leaders with us today, as well as federal, provincial, and municipal representatives, and members of the board of both the Banque of Canada and the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. A special greeting to members of the CMHR's Standing Indigenous Advisory Council and to all of those who played a part in bringing this museum and this banknote to life. And finally, hello to those of you who are watching us on the webcast. 8 months ago, I had the honor and pleasure of being in Halifax for the unveiling of Canada's new vertical $10 banknote, featuring the iconic Nova Scotia native Viola Desmond and the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Today, we are celebrating that this note is ready for circulation. Joining me today are Stephen Poloz, Governor of the Bank of Canada, the Honorable Jennifer O'Connell, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance for Youth Economic Opportunities, the woman who needs no introduction, Ms. Wanda Robson, sister of Viola Desmond. Yeah. I like how nobody else gets applause, but she definitely does. And Dr. John Young, President and CEO of the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Pour commencer, j'aimerais maintenant inviter le gouverneur de la Banque du Canada, Stephen Poloz, à prendre la parole. Mr. Poloz.
Well, thank you very much, Selena. Well, we're here today to celebrate the end of a long journey, a Canadian journey. But today we celebrate the launch of this incredible new $10 banknote. Isn't that something? Yeah. There you go. John always wants me to show the back. Yeah. And for good reason. Les billets de banque sont un moyen de paiement sûr, mais ils racontent aussi les grands moments de notre pays. À l'avenir, lorsque nous utiliserons ce nouveau billet, il nous rappellera tout le chemin parcouru et qui reste à parcourir pour faire avancer les droits de la personne et la justice sociale au Canada. You know, bringing a new banknote from concept to reality is a remarkably complex process. Few people realize just how long the process is. So a couple of numbers for you. Work on this note started fully 2.5 years ago. And the planning for it goes back over 5 years. And the process involves a wide range of people. And some of them have an obvious role. The historians, researchers, graphic designers, for example, who make the note beautiful and meaningful. Photographers and engravers also play an important part. I'm delighted to acknowledge that master engraver Jorge Perral is here with us today, who did the engraving on this banknote. But others involved in the process aren't quite as obvious. The chemists, the physicists, and engineers who do the research on the polymer and help develop the features that make our notes so secure. And I can hardly believe there's no economists in that list. Nevertheless, and then there are all our partner groups, many of which are represented here today, and of course the bank staff who work closely with them. And we truly appreciate the assistance of the financial institutions who distribute the banknotes across the country. And we expect that they'll be available at local branches throughout Canada over the next few weeks. And we appreciate the help of the retailers who handle the notes, and the law enforcement agencies that work to make sure that counterfeiting remains very, very low. So yes, it's a long and involved process. It's a lot of hard work. But it's the hard work that makes the process so worthwhile and the celebration so sweet. Because after all the hard work, here is the result. Now, I want to highlight a couple of things that made bringing this note to reality so special. The first is the public's involvement in designing the note. Finance Minister Bill Morneau agreed with me that it was long past time to feature an iconic Canadian woman on the front of a regularly circulating banknote. So the bank asked Canadians to tell us who that woman should be. And that invitation unleashed a flood of nominations, over 25,000 of them. An expert panel helped us comb through them all. And this turned into a tremendous opportunity to learn about all these great Canadians and to give their stories some well-deserved and long overdue recognition. Now, the second thing about this note, of course, was the ultimate choice of Viola Desmond, a successful businesswoman from Nova Scotia's Black community who took a stand for human rights and against discrimination in the 1940s. And with this inspired and inspiring choice, the note's themes of human rights and social justice fell naturally into place. And what better embodiment of this theme than this remarkable location, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. I'm so pleased that this building, as it stands, and everything it stands for, are being recognized on this note. The choice of Viola Desmond has touched off conversations about human rights across Canada, as well as celebrations of the life of this remarkable woman, especially in the north end of Halifax, where she lived and grew her business. And I know events are taking place in Halifax to honor this great Canadian, where people can spend their brand new vertical notes and even see an original musical production about her. Now, right here in this museum, there's an exhibit where you can learn more about Viola. I think it's just over there. It's just right over there. Yeah. Et enfin, à partir de la fin du mois, le Musée de la Banque du Canada à Ottawa présentera l'exposition Une femme de valeur qui porte sur Viola et le nouveau billet. Le choix de Viola Desmond a permis de faire connaître cette femme digne et courageuse et son combat pour les droits de la personne. The choice of Viola Desmond brought her story of dignity, courage, and human rights to the fore. And it brought one other remarkable person to our attention, and that is, of course, Viola's incomparable sister, Wanda Robson. Now, you may know that Wanda was pursuing her dream of getting a university degree at a time in life when most of us would be planning for a quiet retirement. But in her studies, Wanda heard her sister's story being told by her professor, Dr. Graham Reynolds, who is also with us today. And at that point, Wanda realized the importance of sharing her sister's story with the world. So it was Wanda, with the steadfast support of her husband, Joe, also here today, who worked tirelessly to make sure that her sister's story would not be forgotten. And Wanda, we all owe you a debt of gratitude because thanks to your hard work, your sister's story won't be forgotten.
Thank you.
So Wanda, I want you to tell me how it feels today, in this moment.
How do I feel today?
Yes, that your family is now part of Canadian history, official.
If I could dance, I would dance. If I could sing, if my relatives are in the audience, my son and daughter, they'd say, "No, don't do that, Mom. We love you, but don't sing."
Right.
But I'm so happy and so proud, and those are sort of mundane words. I feel that this is such a momentous occasion, and it's unbelievable to think that. Well, I'll put myself first. My sister, a woman. A black woman is on a $10 bill. the Queen is in good company. Thank you, dear. Anyhow, what I want to say is that I thank you. I thank you, Governor. I do thank you. And to you, you know what? I'm old, I forgot your name.
John.
No, yes, Dr. Young. Thank you 1,000 times. It couldn't have happened without the coming together of all the people here. Thank you. And, you know, I want to tell you particularly.
Okay.
Yes, you particularly.
Okay.
You have some of the staff that work with you.
I know.
And they have been working with me.
Yeah.
There's Julie, and there's Suzette,
I know.
and there's Monique, and there's my Boyd. Boyd, you don't pay them enough, I'm sure. I'm sure you don't. You think about it.
Okay.
Think about it. Okay, think about it. And I'm getting all old, and I might weep if you don't do anything.
Okay.
You don't want me to cry.
Oh,
Okay. I do have tears of happiness. Can I tell you a story about Viola? Yeah, you know the story of her trying to get a teach, and she couldn't get a license because she was black. And she did get a license after she passed the test to teach in the segregated schools. While she was there, she discovered that she loved teaching, but that was not her calling. I have never, ever seen anyone the work ethic that Viola had. And I was a teenager growing up. There were 12 years difference between our ages. She is very kind to me, but sometimes she was a pain in the neck. She wanted the best for me. And what was the best? Education. She got that from my mom. Oh, I love you, Mom. But anyhow, Viola decided that she would visit me when she was in the States. This is one of the good stories. When she was living in New York, and I was living in Massachusetts. She would come over every now and then to visit, to check on me, and I had 3 little children, 3 boys, and he's grown up now, he's out there now, I see you. But she came in and she opened the door, no light. She came in, said, what's going on? I said, well, I was on social service, and they turned off my lights, and no heat, no electricity. And somebody bought me a pot-bellied stove, and I put it in the kitchen, and somebody put these pipes up, didn't put them up very well, but put them up. Viola looked around, and she says, oh dear God, you're living like this? How long have you been living like this? I said, well, a little while. You've been to this town hall, yes, but they didn't give me any money. She said, I'll go to the town hall tomorrow. I said, but it's Saturday, tomorrow's Saturday, and they're closed. They'll be open for me, she said. So next day she got up, she said, I can't sleep here. It's going to catch fire. Look at that stove. She goes to the town hall, opens the door, there's a janitor there, and he said, Madam, he says, you can't go in there, there's a council meeting. Excuse me, she said. She was always saying, excuse me, and she never, you get this this idea when your relative or your friend passes away and they never raise their voice. They never said any swear words. And Viola never raised her voice. I never ever heard her. More power with softness, I don't know. Strike with a hammer. Anyway, she went in, opened the door, and there was a table there, and all the council was meeting, and she turned around and she said, is Mrs. Johnson, may I speak to Mrs. Johnson? Mrs. Johnson got up. She said, "Do you realize there's a meeting?" "Excuse me," she said. "I'll just take a minute. Mrs. Johnson, my sister is Wanda Neal, and she came to you for money for her children, for food for her children. And you told her, you refused her because her husband was driving a Cadillac, playing golf, and leading a good life. Well, it's not our responsibility." So she said, "How dare you? How dare you?" She said, "Speak that way to a vulnerable woman, a little mother of 3 little children, and you wouldn't give them money, the slip to go to the grocery store because her husband is driving a Cadillac." She said, "Shame on you, shame," she said. So the woman sat down, her face was red, and the mayor got up, and the mayor said, Mrs. Desmond, she said, "Mrs. Desmond, I hear you speaking, and I'd like to hear more of your story." But she said that this is Saturday, and you come to the office on Monday because we're not open on Saturdays. So my sister said to him, "Excuse me," but she said, "Children die on Saturday also." And when she got home, the truck was there, the oil was going into the heat was on, the lights was on, and there were groceries in my refrigerator. So that was one. I have many. One of the Viola's, I can do it, but she was another time. Oh, I have to tell you this one. Beg your pardon.
It's Joe. He's saying that's it.
Listen, I can't hear you.
That's Joe.
Oh, where's Joe?
Right there.
Right here.
Oh, he's telling me to stop. Oh, stop. Oh, stop. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a date for later on.
Yes.
I want to tell you about the lobster in Viola. All right. Yeah. But I have, as I said, to thank the governor and Dr. Young and everybody, every person who's helped this to become to fruition. This is, I have no words. I heard that. I heard that. Yeah. And the friends I've met. Yes, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up with a big thank you from my family. I have a sister. She's in a nursing home. She's 94. I love you, Jeannie. And I do hope that the family, my nephews and nieces, and one more thing. I have to say one more thing. I'm jumping around because I'm old. But you know, I go to the schools. I have to say, whoever else is waiting down there to speak, hold on. Do you know what? I forgot to tell you. Never mind shaking your head. That's my husband. I go to the schools and I talk to the children. There is the change in the children. And I speak to them, I tell them about Viola. And you know what? Children, they don't see color. They don't see a difference. They have pals, they have friends. I'd like to keep it that way. It's not born in them. It's taught. So this is going to help them. This magnificent, it's not an institution, I have another word for it, and I'll think about it later on. I won't take any more of your time, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda. It was lovely. I could have listened to you speak on and on as well, so I look forward to hearing more of those stories. Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer O'Connell. I'm the Member of Parliament for Pickering-Uxbridge and Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance. I want to welcome everyone and thank you so much for being here today, and especially a big thank you to Wanda and your family, your husband, your son, your daughter-in-law. I appreciate everybody that's here. Wanda, I'm so glad that you could be here with all of us today to witness this moment. It's not only an important moment for your family and your history, but it's an important moment for our country's history too. So thank you so much. In fact, as the governor already mentioned, if it were not for your efforts, we might not be here today. Your commitment to carrying forward your sister's legacy inspires all of us, and it's thanks to you, Wanda, that Viola's story will continue to be told. I am tremendously proud to be here representing the Government of Canada. It was just over 2 years ago that the Prime Minister and Minister Morneau announced that for the first time in our 150-year history, a Canadian woman and her story would be featured on the money we all carry every day. Viola Desmond was an educated, ambitious, and confident businesswoman whose courageous refusal to accept the racial discrimination of the day has lessons for us all. Lessons like to recognize and honor our own dignity and our self-worth, to stand up for ourselves and for all others who face unjust treatment, and to demand better of the institutions and authorities that are part of our daily lives. When Canadians see this new $10 bill, I hope they will reflect on Viola's story, and I hope they will give some thought to the diverse contributions made by Viola and other Canadian women like her. Thanks to the contributions of hardworking women, family incomes are now higher and fewer children live in poverty, and all Canadians are better off. But we know, and have often heard the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister say, there is more work to be done to ensure equality within our society. And we have a preview of that on the other side of this $10 bill that goes into circulation today. On the reverse side of the note, there are symbols and images that represent the broader themes of social justice and the fight for rights and freedoms. Symbols that remind us that we must continue the important work of advancing reconciliation with all Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Inuit, and members of the Métis Nation. It also features the remarkable building that we're in here today, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, the very first museum in the world solely dedicated to the evolution, celebration, and future of human rights. I think it's fitting that we issue this banknote here, in a place where the ongoing fight for human rights is recognized, and a place where we continue to fight for that equality. Viola Desmond wasn't the first or sadly the last person to stand up to injustice, but I hope with the daily reminder of her story, more of us will be encouraged to follow in her courageous footsteps and take a stand to do what's right. Once again, Wanda, thank you on behalf of all Canadians for being here with us today and for ensuring your sister's story is shared with generations to come. Thank you all very much, and I'd now like to turn the floor over to our host, Dr. John Young, the President and Chief Executive of the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Parliamentary Secretary O'Connell. Both of us have that challenge of following Wanda Robson speaking. We want to welcome all of you here to this magnificent gallery we call Canadian Journeys. The progress that we have made and the work that remains to be done to achieve human rights for all Canadians is the central theme of our museum. The Viola Desmond exhibition here and the long-anticipated issuance of this historic banknote provides all of us the opportunity to expand our collective memory as Canadians. It is a recurring feature of that collective memory that we as Canadians tend to overlook our own history, to believe that the fight for human rights is one that was fought in other places, or to deny or downplay our own journey through wrongs. Time and again, as I speak to people about our museum and as they emerge from a tour of our exhibits, they say, "I did not know this." So it is perhaps not surprising that the story of Viola Desmond has not been well known. And when I encountered a grade 8 student exploring this gallery, and she saw that alcove, she said, "Is that Rosa Parks?" These two smart, brave black women who stood up against segregation are similar, of course, except that Viola made her stand nearly 10 years before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on that bus. While Viola's story has become increasingly known, the issuance of this banknote is another step, along with the museum exhibit, on our journey towards improving our collective memory and understanding that this is a story for all Canadians to know. It is significant that when Canada set out to choose the first Canadian woman on a regular banknote, we chose to acknowledge a woman who not only achieved something significant, but overcame oppression to do so. Because it is one thing to accomplish great things when the wind is at your back, but another altogether when society is set up to sit you down. I hope as more Canadians get to know Viola Desmond, they will also learn the other stories of racism, oppression, and injustice that mark Canada's own human rights journey. Achieving rights for all is a process, and we are not there yet. You may not know that the museum's architecture is a metaphor for the journey we are on as a country. We are standing together here in the Canadian Journeys Gallery, the largest gallery in the museum, where many dozens of stories are explored. The path through the museum's exhibits is a winding one, and it gains in elevation and illumination as we progress, because as humans and as Canadians, we are on a long and enduring journey towards human rights for all. I love showing people the Viola Desmond alcove because it is a stark and uncomfortable reminder that racial segregation didn't just happen south of the border, it also happened here. And it required brave individuals like Viola Desmond and Wanda Robson to bring us towards illumination. So it is a great privilege, a great honor to host this event, which allows us to bring Viola via a banknote into our everyday lives, into our hands and into our hearts and into our homes. May this historic banknote help us commit to doing better ourselves as we continue our journey. Thank you for being with us here today to celebrate this historic occasion. I'd now like to invite Governor Poloz back to the stage to mark this event with photos.
Well, thank you very much, John. That's very nice, and thank you for hosting us, and thank you for what you do for us every day. Yeah. Well, it's my privilege to make a couple of presentations So I got to unveil this right here. Oh, let's see, this one. So what I have here is a framed engraving of Viola and 2 banknotes mounted there, both ways, John, one front and one back. And most people don't realize that I have to sign every one of these. And Carolyn Wilkins as well, which is a big job. But in any case, each, as you know, every banknote has a serial number. And so for Wanda, we have a special one here, which is serial number 1946. And the other one is serial number 2010, which is the year that they granted the pardon, the posthumous pardon for Viola. And so, Wanda, I'd like to present you with this.
Oh,
Yeah?
okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Is that nice?
oh, oh.
And you see the serial number there? 1946, right there.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Well, it's vertical now, right?
I have my,
Oh, yeah, you look at it.
It's okay.
Are you able to hold it? It's okay? I can help.
Oh, it's
Okay. Thank you.
heavy. Oh, look.
Okay,
I
and
thank
secondly,
you.
I have one almost the same. But this one has a beautiful engraving of this wonderful museum. Okay, that's beautiful. And two more banknotes, and they also have special serial numbers. One is 2014, which is the year that the museum opened. And the other one is 2018, the year that the museum is now featured on our $10 banknote for John. Okay. Off to you.
Wow. This was pretty awesome. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here today. It's been an honor to be involved in this momentous day. Thank you, Governor Poloz, Parliamentary Secretary O'Connell, Dr. Young, and the incomparable Wanda Robson for your remarks today. To the journalists in the room, you are now invited to take the photo op taking place to my left. To our guests, please follow the colleagues from the museum, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, to the reception in the Garden of Contemplation. If you could just follow, they're waving over there. You could follow them up the ramp. And if you wish to take the elevator, staff at the back of the room who are waving at the back can escort you to the reception. Thank you so much for your presence here today. Merci et bonne journée.